Hey there, have you ever found yourself constantly telling others about every little thing happening in your life? It's like an uncontrollable urge to share every detail, every moment, every thought. But let me ask you this, is it really necessary? Is it truly benefiting you or those around you? You see, when we're constantly talking about ourselves, we're not really living in the present moment. We're so focused on retelling the past or anticipating the future that we miss out on the beauty and opportunities right in front of us. It's like being stuck in a never-ending loop of our own stories, failing to see the bigger picture. I've been guilty of this myself. I used to think that sharing every aspect of my life would somehow validate my experiences, make me feel more connected to others. But you know what? It didn't. In fact, it often had the opposite effect. People would tune out, lose interest, or even feel burdened by the constant stream of information I was throwing at them. It took me a while to realize that true connection and fulfillment come from being fully present, from listening more than speaking, from being genuinely interested in others rather than always trying to be interesting ourselves. When we shift our focus from ourselves to the world around us, magic happens. Imagine walking through a beautiful park, surrounded by vibrant flowers, chirping birds, and the gentle rustle of leaves. Now, picture yourself walking through that same park, but instead of taking in the sights, sounds, and smells, you're constantly talking on your phone, telling someone about your day. Which experience do you think would be more enriching, more memorable? The truth is, when we're always talking about ourselves, we rob ourselves of the opportunity to fully engage with the world, to learn from others, to grow. We become so wrapped up in our own narratives that we fail to see the beauty and wisdom in the stories of those around us. So here's my challenge to you. Start practicing the art of listening. When you're in a conversation, make a conscious effort to ask questions, to show genuine interest in what the other person has to say. Resist the urge to jump in with your own stories or experiences. Allow yourself to be fully present, to absorb the words and emotions of others. You might be surprised at how much more connected you feel, how much more you learn and grow. When you create space for others to share their stories, you open yourself up to new perspectives, new ideas, new possibilities. And here's the thing, when you do have something truly valuable to share, something that could inspire, motivate, or help others, people will be far more receptive. They'll know that when you speak, it's coming from a place of authenticity, of genuine desire to contribute rather than a need for attention or validation. So start small. The next time you're in a conversation, challenge yourself to listen more than you speak. Notice how it feels, how others respond. And as you continue to practice this, you'll find that your relationships deepen, your experiences become richer, and your life becomes more fulfilling. Remember, your life is not a constant broadcast. It's a beautiful, complex tapestry woven from moments of connection, growth, and presence. When you stop feeling the need to tell everyone what's going on in your life, you create space for something far more precious, the ability to fully live it. So embrace the power of listening, of being present, of allowing others to shine. In doing so, you'll not only enrich your own life, but also the lives of those around you. And that, my friends, is a story worth telling. Now, I know some of you might be thinking, but wait, isn't sharing our experiences a way of bonding with others? Doesn't it help us feel less alone? And you're absolutely right. Sharing our stories, our struggles, our triumphs, it's an essential part of the human experience. But there's a difference between sharing with intention and oversharing out of habit or need. When we share with intention, we're thoughtful about what we're saying, why we're saying it, and who we're saying it to. We're not just dumping our experiences on others, hoping for a reaction or validation. We're sharing because we genuinely believe it could help, inspire, or connect with someone else. Think about a time when someone shared a story with you that truly resonated, that made you feel seen, heard, and understood. Chances are that person wasn't just talking at you, spewing every detail of their life. They were sharing something specific, something meaningful, something that created a bridge between your experiences and theirs. That's the kind of sharing that brings us closer together, that helps us feel less alone in this big, beautiful, messy world. It's the kind of sharing that comes from a place of authenticity, vulnerability, and connection. So how do we know when to share and when to listen? How do we find that balance between being open and being present? Well, it starts with self-awareness. Take a moment to reflect on your own patterns of communication. Do you find yourself constantly steering conversations back to your own experiences? Do you feel a need to fill every silence with your own voice? Do you walk away from interactions feeling drained or unfulfilled? If you answered yes to any of those questions, it might be time to start practicing more mindful communication. Start by setting an intention before each interaction. Whether it's a casual conversation with a friend or a more formal meeting at work, take a moment to ask yourself, what is my purpose in this interaction? What do I hope to give and receive? When you have a clear intention, it becomes easier to stay present, to listen actively, and to share with purpose. You become less focused on proving yourself or seeking validation and more focused on creating a meaningful exchange. Another powerful tool for mindful communication is the art of the pause. When you find yourself tempted to jump in with your own story or experience, take a moment to pause. Take a breath. Ask yourself, is this truly relevant to the conversation at hand? Will sharing this add value or just noise? Sometimes the most powerful thing we can say is nothing at all. By creating space for silence, for reflection, for the other person to continue sharing, we open ourselves up to deeper understanding and connection. And when you do choose to share, do so with intention. Share stories that uplift, that inspire, that offer a new perspective. Share vulnerabilities that create a sense of shared humanity. Share insights that could help others navigate their own challenges and triumphs. But always, always do so with the other person in mind. Remember that communication is a two-way street, a dance between giving and receiving. When we approach it with empathy, with curiosity, with a genuine desire to understand and be understood, magic happens. So my challenge to you remains, start practicing the art of listening. Start being more intentional with your sharing. Start creating space for silence, for reflection, for the stories of others to unfold. In doing so, you'll not only deepen your own relationships and experiences, but also contribute to a world that is more compassionate, more connected, more alive. And who knows? Maybe one day when someone asks you what's going on in your life, you'll be able to say with a smile and a twinkle in your eye, oh, so many beautiful things. But first, tell me about you. Because at the end of the day, that's what life is all about, not just telling our own stories, but being a part of something bigger, something more beautiful than we could ever create alone. So go out there and listen, really listen, share with intention, create space for the magic of connection to unfold, and watch as your life becomes a masterpiece, a story woven not just from your own experiences, but from the threads of every heart you touch along the way. In a world that often feels so divided, so disconnected, the power of presence, of listening, of intentional sharing, it's more important than ever. It's how we bridge the gaps between us, how we find common ground, how we remember that beneath all our differences, we're all just human beings, trying our best to navigate this wild and precious life. So let's be the change we wish to see. Let's be the listeners, the space creators, the intentional sharers. Let's be the ones who know when to speak and when to be silent, when to offer our own stories and when to hold space for others. It won't always be easy. There will be times when the urge to fill the silence, to prove ourselves, to seek validation feels overwhelming. But with practice, with intention, with a commitment to being present, we can learn to navigate those moments with grace and compassion. And as we do, we'll start to notice a shift not just in our own lives, but in the world around us. We'll start to see more understanding, more empathy, more connection. We'll start to feel more alive, more engaged, more a part of something greater than ourselves. Because that's the beauty of mindful communication. It's not just about the words we say or the stories we tell. It's about the way we show up, the way we create space, the way we honor the humanity in ourselves and in others. So, my friends, let this be your invitation. Let this be your call to presence, to intention, to a life lived not just in the telling, but in the listening, the being, the becoming. Let this be your reminder that your story, your voice, your presence, it matters. But so does the story, the voice, the presence of every soul you encounter. May you have the courage to be silent when silence is needed, to speak when words can heal, and to listen always, always listen with an open heart and a curious mind. For in the end, it's not the stories we tell that define us, but the way we show up, the way we connect, the way we love. So go out there and be present. Be intentional. Be the kind of listener, the kind of sharer, the kind of presence this world so desperately needs. And trust that in doing so, you're not just changing your own life, but the lives of every person you touch, every story you hear, every moment you embrace. Because that, my friends, is the power of mindful communication. That is the power of a life lived not just in the telling, but in the being, the listening, the loving. And it all starts here in this moment with a choice to be present, to be intentional, to be the change you wish to see in the world. So what do you say? Are you ready to embrace the power of presence, to listen more than you speak, to share with intention and love? Are you ready to be a part of something bigger, something more beautiful than any one story could ever contain? If so, then let this be your first step. Let this be your invitation to a life lived not just in the telling, but in the listening, the being, the becoming. A life lived in the magic of connection, the power of presence, the beauty of a story woven not just from your own experiences, but from the threads of every heart you touch along the way. So take a deep breath, my friends, pause, listen, and then when the moment is right, speak not just to be heard, but to be a part of something greater, something more beautiful than words could ever express. For that is the essence of a life well lived, a story well told, a presence that changes the world, one moment, one connection, one heartbeat at a time. So go out there and be that presence, that listener, that intentional sharer. Go out there and create space for the magic of connection to unfold. And trust that in doing so, you're not just changing your own life, but the lives of every soul you encounter, every story you hear, every moment you embrace. Because that, my friends, is the power of mindful communication. That is the power of a life lived in presence, in intention, in love. And it all starts here now with you. So take a deep breath and let the story unfold, not just the story you tell, but the story you live, the story you create with every moment, every connection, every beat of your wild and precious heart. And as you step into this new way of being, remember that it's not about perfection, but about progress. There will be moments when you slip back into old patterns, when the urge to fill the silence or seek validation feels overwhelming. But that's okay. Growth is not a straight line, but a series of curves, of ups and downs, of steps forward and steps back. What matters is that you keep showing up, keep practicing, keep choosing presence over performance, connection over comparison. What matters is that you have the courage to be imperfect, to be vulnerable, to be human. And in those moments when you do stumble, when you find yourself slipping into old habits or self-doubt, remember this, you are not alone. Every single person on this planet is navigating their own journey, their own challenges, their own fears and doubts and triumphs. So be kind to yourself and be kind to others. Offer yourself the same compassion, the same grace, the same understanding that you would offer a dear friend. And trust that in doing so, you're not just healing yourself, but creating ripples of healing that touch every life you encounter. Because that's the thing about presence, about mindful communication, about living with intention. It's not just about you. It's about the collective, the community, the world we're all a part of. When you choose to listen more than you speak, to share with intention and love, to be present in the moment, you're not just changing your own life, you're changing the world. You're creating a ripple effect of compassion, of connection, of understanding that touches every heart, every story, every life. And that, my friends, is the most powerful story of all. Not the story of one person, but the story of us, the story of us, the story of how we showed up for each other, how we listened to each other, how we loved each other through the messiness and the magic of this wild and precious life. So keep showing up, keep listening, keep loving, and trust that in doing so, you're not just living your own story, but being a part of the greatest story ever told, the story of us, the story of connection, the story of a world transformed by the power of presence and the beauty of a life lived with intention. As you navigate this journey, remember that growth is not just about the big moments, the grand gestures, the transformative experiences. It's about the small choices, the daily practices, the subtle shifts in perspective and behavior. It's about choosing to put down your phone and look into the eyes of the person in front of you. It's about taking a deep breath before you speak and asking yourself, is this true? Is this necessary? Is this kind? It's about letting go of the need to be right, to be perfect, to be in control, and instead embracing the beauty of uncertainty, the power of vulnerability, the magic of letting go. These small choices, these daily practices, these subtle shifts, they may not feel like much in the moment, but over time they add up to a life transformed, a story rewritten, a world changed. And as you continue on this path, remember that you have all the wisdom, all the courage, all the strength you need right here within you. You are not broken. You are not lacking. You are not less than. You are whole. You are worthy. You are enough, exactly as you are. So trust yourself. Trust the journey. Trust the process of growth and transformation, even when it feels messy or uncomfortable or uncertain, because it's in those moments of discomfort, those moments of stretching and growing and letting go, that we find our greatest strength, our deepest wisdom, our most authentic selves. And as you find that strength, that wisdom, that authenticity, remember to share it with the world. Remember to be a light in the darkness, a voice for the voiceless, a presence of love and compassion in a world that so desperately needs it. Because that's what this journey is all about, not just transforming ourselves, but transforming the world. Not just living our own story, but being a part of the greater story, the story of us, the story of connection, the story of a world healed and whole. So keep showing up, keep listening, keep loving, keep being the change you wish to see in the world. And trust that in doing so, you're not just changing your own life, but the lives of every person you touch, every story you hear, every moment you embrace. And as you do, remember this, you are not alone. You are part of a community, collective, a world of people who are all navigating their own journeys, their own stories, their own paths to presence and connection and love. Reach out to them, support them, celebrate them, and let them support and celebrate you in return. Because we're all in this together, we're all part of the same story, the same journey, the same beautiful, messy, miraculous dance of life. And when you find yourself struggling, when you find yourself doubting, when you find yourself wondering if any of this really matters, come back to this moment. Come back to this breath. Come back to this presence, this connection, this love. Because that's what it's all about in the end. Not the destination, but the journey. Not the perfection, but the practice. Not the outcome, but the intention, the presence, the love. So keep showing up, keep listening, keep loving. Keep being a force for good in the world, a light in the darkness, a voice for the voiceless. Keep being the change you wish to see, the presence you wish to feel, the love you wish to give and receive. And trust that in doing so, you're not just living your own story, but being a part of the greatest story ever told, the story of us, the story of connection, the story of a world transformed by the power of presence and the beauty of a life lived with intention. It won't always be easy. There will be moments of doubt, moments of fear, moments of resistance and discomfort and pain. But those moments too are part of the journey, part of the story, part of the beautiful, messy, miraculous process of growth and transformation. So don't run from them. Don't hide from them. Don't resist them. Instead, lean into them. Embrace them. Allow them to teach you, to stretch you, to guide you to a deeper understanding of yourself and the world around you. Because it's in those moments of discomfort, those moments of challenge, those moments of uncertainty, that we find our greatest strength, our deepest wisdom, our most authentic truth. And as you find that strength, that wisdom, that truth, remember to share it with the world. Remember to be a beacon of hope, a source of inspiration, a presence of love and compassion in a world that so desperately needs it. Because that's what this journey is all about, not just transforming ourselves, but transforming the world. Not just living our own story, but being a part of the greater story, the story of us, the story of connection, the story of a world healed and whole. So keep showing up, keep listening, keep loving, keep being the change you wish to see in the world. And trust that in doing so, you're not just changing your own life, but the lives of every person you touch, every story you hear, every moment you embrace. And as you do, remember this: you matter. Your story matters. Your presence matters. Your love matters. Not because of what you do or what you achieve or what you possess, but because of who you are in all your beautiful, messy, miraculous humanity. So don't ever doubt that. Don't ever question that. Don't ever forget that. You are enough exactly as you are. You are worthy exactly as you are. You are loved exactly as you are. And when you remember that, when you embody that, when you live from that place of wholeness and worthiness and love, that's when the magic happens. That's when the miracles unfold. That's when the world begins to change, one heartbeat, one breath, one moment at a time. So keep showing up, keep listening, keep loving. Keep being a force for good in the world, a light in the darkness, a voice for the voiceless. Keep being the change you wish to see, the presence you wish to feel, the love you wish to give and receive. And trust that in doing so, you're not just living your own story, but being a part of the greatest story ever told, the story of us. The story of connection, the story of a world transformed by the power of presence and the beauty of a life lived intention. Because that's what it's all about in the end. Not the destination, but the journey. Not the perfection, but the practice. Not the outcome, but the intention, the presence, the love. So keep showing up, keep listening, keep loving, and trust that in doing so, you're not just changing your own life, but the lives of every person you touch, every story you hear, every moment you embrace. Because that, my friends, is the power of presence. That is the beauty of a life lived with intention. That is the magic of a world transformed, one heartbeat, one breath, one moment at a time. And it all starts here now with you, with your presence, your intention, your love, with your willingness to show up, to listen, to be the change you wish to see in the world. So take a deep breath and let it begin. Let the story unfold. Let the magic happen. Let the world be transformed, one heartbeat, one breath, one moment at a time. Because that's what it's all about in the end. The journey, the practice, the presence, the love, the beautiful, messy, miraculous dance of life, unfolding in every moment, every breath, every heartbeat. And you, my friend, are a vital part of that dance. Your presence matters, your story matters, your love matters. Don't ever doubt that. Don't ever question that. Don't ever forget that. Keep showing up, keep listening, keep loving. And trust that in doing so, you're not just living your own story, but being a part of the greatest story ever told, the story of us, the story of connection, the story of a world transformed by the power of presence and the beauty of a life lived with intention. So take a deep breath and let it begin. Let the magic happen. Let the miracles unfold. Let the world be transformed. one heartbeat, one breath, one moment at a time. And remember, always remember, that you are enough, you are worthy, you are loved exactly as you are. And that, my friend, is the greatest story of all.